Good morning, good afternoon, or good whatever time it is that you're viewing this wonderful interview with the divine Jen McDonald, of whom is both my friend and a friend of our community. Jen, welcome to See Her Soar.
Thank you so much, Becca. I'm so happy to be here today. Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I love brilliant, kind, smart women, and that should be on every resume you ever write. But for those of you who don't have the privilege of knowing the greatness that is Jen McDonald, Jen, tell people a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jen McDonald. I am a local community leader here in Hillsborough County and involved in a lot of organizations and supporting a lot of different things that are going on here. And I'm also an entrepreneur and small business owner in the risk management and insurance profession. So I help businesses with their insurance, general liability, work comp, property, auto, things like that. And I just love geeking out with entrepreneurs and business owners and learning about them and really getting into like the exciting things that they're doing and trying to solve the riddle of how do we protect them? How do we protect the people who interact with them and make sure everybody's safe and able to successfully get through their business transactions? So, yeah.
I have to say your expertise on risk management has been invaluable, not just to me, but to many people as we've navigated the past year, because your understanding of risk mitigation, and I think you kept a cooler head and have been a couple steps ahead of the average bear, if you will. And so that's a tribute to your professional success. Now, because I have the privilege of knowing you, I know you have a passion for service and it's in your community, both through your work and also in the form of public service. Where does that drive come from?
You know, it's hard to say where it exactly comes from, but I have this innate need to always help other people. Even in my business, when I was launching my business, I would have meetings with other business people and think about like what could help them solve these problems and connect with the community in a way that makes their business better. And then I would give those solutions and help them connect with those resources. And in turn, they would turn around and refer me insurance business and connect me with resources. So I'm not really sure exactly where it stems from. I just think it's part of who I am, is that I have this need to help other people succeed. And I know it's my whole life. I've been this way since I was a small child. When all the kids in the neighborhood would come to my house and go, okay, what are we doing today? And how can we do something interesting and fun or helpful? And so it was just always a thing that I've always done. So I think it's just part of who I've always been and who I'll always be.
Well, I guess that's why people like you so much. It's because you are so genuine and you do show up for people. And speaking of showing up, you are infamous in this town for supporting as many philanthropic events, organizational events, individuals with a desire to serve the public. I mean, you are sister show up. How has that pivot for somebody who has given so much of their time to others? How has this pivot to this virtual world? How has that affected you?
You know, it's been good, but it hasn't been great. I love my friends and I am doing a lot of virtual events and virtual things. Early on last year, I was doing virtual interviews with friends and trying to connect them out with the folks in the internet because that was the only opportunity you had. It's challenging because I'm a hugger. And, I hear people talk on the news. You are too, you get it. And then you hear the news talking about handshakes may never come back. And I'm like, what about hugging? How am I going to manage this if you're taking away handshakes? I'm a hugger. So that is challenging, but I have two little cute puppy dogs who snuggle up on me all the time. So I have a lot of that in my world. But reality is, it's just a challenge. And I think every day we kind of process it in our own ways and kind of go through it. Virtual has been my big savior, though. Luckily, there's a way to connect and relate with people virtually, which has been very helpful for me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel such a disconnect, and I just miss that human contact, And again, the whole slogan was hugs, not drugs. What now? Do we just go to the drugs? I don't know. People, speaking of which, if a medical marijuana company would like to sponsor seehersoar, we're willing to have a conversation. In all seriousness.
I'm wearing the right color today.
There you go. There you go. Now you have stepped forward and put yourself out there to lead this community time and time again. So if I had the opportunity to anoint you mayor today, maybe today is a bad day. We'll say 2 weeks from now after the Super Bowl is over, because that's a whole nother mess. Not mess, but a whole nother challenge. What would be your first order of business?
Well, as you know, I ran for county commission in 2020 and did not win the election, but would say that was a very successful run for a first-time candidate. But if I were anointed mayor, I'd do the thing that I talked about the most on county commission. I would put sidewalks in every neighborhood, wide, unobstructed, shade tree line, continuous sidewalks with safe crossings so kids can get to school. We don't even have that. As a kid, I walked to school every single day where I grew up because there were sidewalks to get me there. And we just don't have that here. And I feel like the kids are really missing out and having a lot of unsafe interactions when they have to walk in the street to get to school. So that would be what I do first.
And I think that's a totally, quote, Jen McDonald type response. It's responsible, it makes sense, it's fiscally responsible, and it's thinking about the community at large, which is pretty much everything that you do.
Well, and it also is very business savvy, right? Your first step and first interaction with your local government is when you step off of your sidewalk and onto the pavement that they provided. And that gives options for transportation, not just to the students, but to folks who want to walk to work or walk to the groceries and maybe don't have the opportunity to own a car. So it's that first step in transportation options in the region. So it's far beyond just the kids, but they're like the reason that I want to do it.
Right on. That's very cool. I think that's really smart. And I'm sure the mayor is taking notes right now.
Hi, Jane.
You're killing it, Mayor. You're killing it. Now, in all your pursuits, which there have been many, and in all your efforts and contributions, how have women specifically supported you? And then how in turn do you pay that forward?
The women's influence has come in so many different places in my life, from the woman who inspired me to get into the insurance program and gave me a shot, and had me be her assistant through a research project, which taught me a lot more about research projects at the college level, to the woman who I lived with when I went to Dallas, Texas. And it was my professor's mom, took me in, I thought just for the weekend, and then let me stay with her for a whole summer while I was working my internship out there. And she had owned a lot of real estate and had a lot of interactions with the community, had been a business and community leader when women weren't permitted to own their business. So her husband technically owned the business and she ran the whole thing, and received awards for it as if she were the owner, even though she was not allowed to own a business at the time. So when you think about the barriers that are broken down by the women around us and in our lifetime, just seeing them do these things and move forward, it's inspired me always to think about the fact that whoever's around me is probably looking for an edge or a push to get themselves to the next place. And so I just listen to them. I was always listening to my friends, and I'm always kind of encouraging them, like, go further. Why do you think you shouldn't run for office? You definitely have what it takes, or why do you think you shouldn't talk to your boss about that promotion? You have what it takes, or you've been contributing this much. What does the bottom line look like at your company? You're the marketing person. Why aren't you asking for the raise that is commensurate with the type of value you've brought to the organization, And so I just think about like all of these ways that women can translate what they've done into these really tangible conversations with the people around them so that they can move forward and get past this hurdle of like, I don't want to be seen as being too aggressive or too tough. There's no too tough. There's no too aggressive. You have to look at what you've done and what you're doing, what value you bring, and really push forward. And so these women have done that for me. They've really like kind of given me that shove forward. And then I see the women around me who need that little edge, and I go, okay, let's go. Let's move this. And so I just think that that's how we all move forward and how our community becomes successful, right? And when women have pay equity and we're making the same kind of money as our counterparts are, we use that money in the community. We reinvest that money in buying things from other women's businesses, from investing in local shops, in local restaurants, in sending our kids to ballet class and things like that, right? We reinvest that money back in the community, and that bolsters the whole community up. So why not fight for women to have their fair share? and get there. So to me, I'm always just trying to help them from inside, right? I'm not out there on the front lines talking to the managers. I'm here with them, coaching them on how to ask for it and how to force that issue in that conversation. So it just comes from other people having done so much for me, and not, I can't see how you couldn't do it. Once you've seen it, you can't not share those things, right? You can't not push for them. So yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's obvious to anyone who's watching this that your warmth just jumps off the screen, and it is truly genuine as someone who has the privilege to have spent time with you and know you personally. But this community is all about elevating the voices of women, and I couldn't be more delighted to have you as part of it. I think you represent so much to so many people and give so generously of your time, talent, and treasure. And the way I see it, sis, you're just getting started.
Thank you very much. I do feel like I've got a lot left to contribute. So,
well, you're a very young woman, so, you know, long road ahead. Now, if people need to speak with you and get some of your wisdom and need some of your push and enthusiasm, which I think we often do. I had a conversation the other day with a friend who was afraid to apply for a promotion. And it's like, you know, they said, you know, I made a mistake at work once. And I said, you know, if you don't ever make a mistake, then you should have already been promoted, right? Like, we need to continue that message of lifting up. So if women want to be lifted up, or men who respect and value women want to be lifted up, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
So the best ways to reach me are through social media. I really tell folks, if it's on this professional or networking or mentoring level, LinkedIn is the best way to get me. Send me a message on LinkedIn. Tell me that you heard me here at seehersoar, or you heard me talking with Becca. And that would be the best way to get my attention and to get me interacting with you, so we can go ahead and set something up offline. You can always check out my Facebook page. There's usually a lot of positivity going on out there. I rarely call people out unless they come to my page and say something that I think needs to be called to their attention, and then I do. So also kind of entertaining. So I am very accessible and very much on my phone pretty much throughout the day. So if you reach out to me, you'll get a response pretty quickly. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Hopefully you all will meet Jen soon if you haven't already. She is seen everywhere, sometimes even on a bike. She loves the fitness. That is not a passion we share, but I respect that she takes such good care of herself. Jen, thank you so much for being a part of our community and giving us some of your time today. I think what you've had to offer has been truly invaluable, just like your service here in Tampa Bay.
Thanks, Becca. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.